welcome. It's good to have you here at the Banfield Show. Got a lot to tell you about. It has happened again. I never thought I would see the same story playing out twice, and certainly not in two different states, but it has. This time, Albuquerque, New Mexico has a case on its hands that will leave a lot of jaws on the floor. This video, shot by three young teenagers, one of them just 11 years old. That's the one with the handgun, allegedly. A 13-year-old is behind the wheel, and a 15-year-old allegedly holding the camera as they come up right behind the blinking red light. It's a cyclist. And what do you think they were saying? Look out, be careful? No, bump him, do it, let's get him. And the video freezes because the man was killed. Yeah. I know, you've heard it before. Last time it was Vegas. Two teenagers stole a car. Bump him, bump him, bump him. And they did that. And they killed a man in his 60s. This was the video you remember then. An elderly man out for a ride in the morning. This time, an elderly man out for a ride on his way to work at 4:40 a.m. And again, these three kids, stolen car, waving a gun, hitting a cyclist at 4:40 a.m. 11 years old, 13 years old, and 15 is the oldest. One is charged, right? Two are on the run. It gets better. It's not even a manhunt. They're on the run. And I can't show you their pictures because they're juvies. And the 11-year-old can't even be charged because he's too juvie. I have so many questions tonight about not only the case itself. The police chief of Albuquerque will be with me. I want to get more details on what he thinks about the hamstringing of the police when they've got these kids. And can I tell you, it is not the first time these kids have been in trouble. There was a whole crime spree last summer in which these kids apparently were stealing cars, ramming them into stores, stealing things, and shooting people. Can't even believe I said that out loud. An 11-year-old who was caught before and had to be released. I got all the details in a moment. And then huge new developments in the case of the missing spring breaker down in Dominican Republic, Sadiksha Konanki. First, on the side of the man who was last seen with her. We're now showing him, Joshua Reby, because Joshua and his family went to the authorities and went to court today saying, you are holding me unfairly and unlawfully in this country. Give me back my passport and let me go home. I did not do this. You don't even have a criminal case opened. Why am I being considered and treated like some suspect or person of interest when I'm not? And you haven't even discussed this as a crime. And there was a decision made. And that young man is on his way home, if not right now, real soon. But that leaves Sadiksha, who's still not surfacing or appearing. Did she drown? Was she hurt? Her family made a comment today, and they made an official appeal today, and they said something and they did something to Joshua. I'm going to tell you all about that. First, I want you to just see a quick moment outside of their home in Pennsylvania where they faced the cameras for the first time. Take a look.
With deep sadness and heavy. No.
The rest of that video is so heartbreaking. I will play that for you. And also the request, the serious request they are making of the authorities in the Dominican Republic. That's coming up as well. And then I've got new details in that story. I cannot shake this story in Connecticut, in Waterbury, Connecticut. The fire responders figured they'd be, maybe rescuing people from a house fire, but they had no idea they were rescuing someone from 2 decades of captivity in those flames and in that smoke, and then arresting his stepmom. 32 years old and 68 pounds. That's a man found locked in a storage room in the upper floors of the house on fire. Tonight, I've got the police chief on who's going to give me more details and tell me what happens to that man now. Who looks after him? His family knew about this, allegedly. No one did anything. So all of these details, hopefully, to sort out in just a moment. But first, do not adjust your set. This is not a rerun. Though I know you're going to feel like it is when you hear about this truly outrageous murder last year in New Mexico and a manhunt underway tonight Although manhunt is a bit of a stretch because it's really a teen hunt, and actually it's a child hunt. And the whole sorry thing is almost a carbon copy of that case that I know you'll remember from Las Vegas in 2023. In Las Vegas, and in the case just coming to light in Albuquerque, kids in a stolen car intentionally rammed into a man in his 60s on a bicycle and videotaped the whole damn thing. And just like the case in Vegas, they were so proud of their handiwork that they posted their killer video to social media afterwards. In both cases, the elderly cyclist was killed. I'm going to show you the video of the latest killing, and that was just released today, even though it happened last May, because they've been searching all this time for who did it. But first, I need to set the scene. This happened at approximately 4:40 in the morning, last May 29th. You are going to see two people in a stolen car. A 13-year-old is behind the wheel, and an 11-year-old is in the passenger seat and appears to be waving a handgun. A 15-year-old is in the back seat shooting the video, and you will hear him egging on the driver. Just ahead of them, out the window, is a man on a bike in a dedicated bike lane. He is a 63-year-old man named Scott Habermel. He was riding his bike to work. He worked at one of the nation's premier nuclear research labs. You will be able to spot him by the red light on the back of his bike, presumably the same way the kids spotted him in the dark road ahead and then planned their attack. You should also know that the video freezes just before Scott and his bike make impact with the hood of the car. So now here is the video.
Are you guys recording it?
Yeah. So.
You ready to start popping? Hurry up, start.
They gonna hit him hella fast.
Just bump him, bruh.
Like, just like bump him?
Yeah, just bump him. Go like 15, 20.
Yeah, they did. They bumped him, and that bike and that man went up onto the hood of the car, making terrible flex sounds, as the police describe it, and actually ended up bouncing along and off the car to his death. The victim was a physicist who designed radiation-resistant microchips that are vital to this nation's security and also vital to space travel. His obituary said that he wrote dozens of articles in science journals and he held 6 patents. The alleged driver of the killer car is just 13 years old. He was arrested yesterday on charges including murder, conspiracy to commit murder, leaving the scene of an accident, and unlawful possession of a handgun. The 15-year-old in the back seat faces the same charges, though police have yet to find that 15-year-old. As for the 11-year-old, yep, he's also on the loose tonight, but at 11, he's apparently too young to be charged with murder. Apparently, you just can't. Imagine that quandary. Authorities are now trying to figure out what they can charge him with, and if they can even hold him, assuming they can even find him. In the Las Vegas case, there were 2 teenagers in the car, and they were also recording themselves as they ran down an elderly cyclist out for a morning ride. The victim in that case was a retired police chief from California, and one of those suspects is due to stand trial for this in September. I'm joined now by the Chief of Police in Albuquerque, Harold Medina. Chief Medina, thank you so much for joining me on the program tonight. First of all, I'm so sorry that this has happened in your community. I can't imagine how Albuquerque is processing this news. Do you have any updates on the search for the 11-year-old and the search for the 15-year-old?
Well, you guys are going to get it first. The 11-year-old was taken into custody about 2 hours ago by a neighboring department and detectives from the Albuquerque Police Department. He's been transported back to Albuquerque. He's lawyered up. He's not going to give a statement. And we are working with our partners at the Children, Youth, and Services Division to get him into a 72-hour hold for an evaluation. And hopefully, based off of that, we could get him into an institution to be evaluated for a period of time but that's the best we're looking at this point in time, because under current state law, we're not able to book him into a correctional facility.
It defies logic that he can't be booked into a correctional facility because he's 11. Not even a juvenile detention program or facility, sir?
No, we went through this last year with this same individual. He was involved in a crime spree. He came up in our weekly stats meeting, Duke City Stat, where we evaluate each area command, crime occurring within those area commands. The 11-year-old was identified as a driver of crime. We were very careful because we knew he was armed, and we knew it was a potential losing situation for us as a police department. We go after an armed 11-year-old. We end up in a shooting with them. We're going to get criticized. He kills one of our officers. God helping that never happened, but we knew that it would be a horrible end to this. And we also knew that if he killed a citizen, it would be devastating. We didn't know this video had already been taken and that this had already occurred. We eventually took him into custody, and for about 27 hours, our detectives worked with the state to get him committed. And of course, he was released soon after that.
It's so unbelievable. I was reading about that case, Chief, and this 11-year-old was alleged to have actually shot someone, injured someone. That person survived, and there was still nothing that could be done either to this 11-year-old, as you've outlined. But what about his caregivers? Why could there not be charges levied against the caregivers, especially even now as we're looking at a second crime spree?
You know, he was a runaway at the time. There are some difficult family dynamics for this individual. His mother actually passed, and the state was looking. We thought that he was going to get placed out of state, and he ended up getting placed with an uncle and aunt. He actually ran away from them, and it's very difficult for an uncle and aunt to try to be raising a child like this, and there really is no teeth for us to be able to charge anybody else.
Is there a father in the picture? I mean, it's tragic that his mother died, but is there a father that anyone knows of?
It doesn't appear that he was in custody of the father. He was given custody. His custody was given to that of an uncle and aunt.
And he ran. I think if I get the timing right, he was a runaway from the uncle and aunt at the time of the crime spree last summer. What about now? Does anyone know who were his custodial caregivers at the time of these alleged crimes in this car?
It was his uncle and aunt. And this time frame in the car actually occurred before we arrested him. It was unknown that this had occurred prior to him being arrested last time. So this had already occurred when he was taken into custody. We didn't know. We actually went through 9 months. The poor family's devastated. I mean, they had to go through the heartache of losing a loved one. It was thought to have been just a simple hit and run accident. We had very little information, a grainy picture from a camera. We couldn't tell who was in the car. And then we got tips that these individuals, somebody went to a school teacher and somebody went to a parent and said, these individuals have a posting on social media that they ran somebody over and killed them. And that's when our detectives from our digital intelligence unit, they got a hold of the evidence, and they started researching it, and were able to pinpoint the date of the video, the location of the video, and we were able to tie it to this specific unsolved hit and run accident.
And again, for anyone just tuning in late, this banner on the bottom is 11-year-old suspect arrested 2 hours ago. The 11-year-old is the alleged passenger here in the front holding the gun. The 13-year-old is the driver, already arrested yesterday. And the 15-year-old egging on the other two in the back seat is on the run tonight. Chief Medina, any word on the 15-year-old's whereabouts? And does the 11-year-old know anything about where the 15-year-old might be?
You know, the 11-year-old didn't cooperate with us. Our detectives are practically working to try to take the 15-year-old into custody. It is a top priority for us. Our detectives have been very successful. We have a very good clearance rate on homicides and apprehensions. So I'm confident in their work, and I'm sure that they'll have him in custody in a short period of time.
Are there parents who are helping to harbor these kids? And I don't even know if harbor is the right word. I mean, they're kids. Parents are supposed to harbor their kids. But could parents who make it difficult for police to find these alleged perpetrators, could they face any charges because of this?
That would be a decision for the district attorney's office. It's not something we see common, especially with parents. Our detectives will continue to interview family members and see if they could locate the 15-year-old, and we will keep the public appraised of what our progress is, and hopefully they could get some information in the next day or so, and hopefully we could soon take him into custody.
Do you know where exactly the 11-year-old is right now?
The 11-year-old is in our custody, and we're waiting to turn him over to the state so that they could send him for an evaluation. We put a 72-hour hold on this individual because we believe he's a danger to himself or to the community.
I mean, clearly, if he's guilty of what I see in this video, he is a conspirator to murder. But will he spend the night tonight in a police station, in a cell, at a juvenile facility? Like, where will he actually sleep through the night tonight?
He will remain in our custody until they're able to get the paperwork to place him into the custody of CYFD.
The other question I have for you, sir, is that you're a border state. Is there any concern that the 15-year-old might actually head for Mexico and seek refuge there? And if that's the case, do the U.S. Marshals go after kids and 15-year-old who might be south of the border?
I'm not too concerned. I don't think he's going to go out of town. He's somewhere in town. He's probably couch surfing, sleeping on somebody's couch. And as soon as more and more information goes out, a reward has already been offered. And once that information gets out, your friends slowly realize that you could be profitable, and they'll generally turn them in.
Yeah. And are the families being cooperative in searching for the 15-year-old? Whatever family was left of the 11-year-olds, were they being cooperative? And the 13-year-old's family, were they cooperative?
Yeah, the 13-year-old was actually on probation from the incidents in the past, and the family was making sure he was checking in with juvenile probation and parole, and they took him for a check-in, and that's how we were able to take him into custody. We spoke to the uncle and aunt of the 11-year-old, got information that he was there, and we went by there and picked him up because he had been still reported as a runaway, but it seems like he had returned back to his relatives' home, and it hadn't been reported. He had taken out of the system as still missing, and we'll continue to work to take the 15-year-old into custody and interview any family members that potentially have information.
Couple seconds left. It's a double question. A lot of people would be wondering, why are they not going to be charged as adults, at least the 13-year-old who's in custody? And if the 15-year-old ends up in custody, I get the 11-year-old conundrum. But charging them as adults would give the state a heck of a lot more leeway to hold them for longer, especially since I keep reading about this trend of Kia boys, where underage car thieves grab cars and go on joy rides and then post their crimes on social media, and how it seems to be on the rise.
That is a decision for the district attorney's office and the courts. Of course, we're going to push for the 15-year-old to be charged as an adult. We hope that there's enough evidence to prove that this was a deliberate act that took somebody's life. The 13-year-old, it's going to be difficult. And, we just went through this. We had an individual who shot one of our sergeants who, when he was 17 years old, got convicted of 3 manslaughter charges. By the time he pled, he was 20 and a half years old. He served 6 months because that's all the jurisdiction the state had on him as a juvenile, was 21. And 2 years later, he shoots one of our sergeants, injures him, and our officers have to use deadly force on this individual. So I think that we need to look like, I hope that everybody working on this problem, it's been flagged. Our state legislature is happening right now, and there's a lot of pieces of the criminal justice system that need an overhaul, and I hope that all our parties can work together and we can come to some solutions on how we could keep the citizens of Albuquerque safe. We're like a lot of states across this country with this juvenile violence. I saw the story from Las Vegas Metro. I was watching it, I was texting their sheriff, and it is just alarming how both of us went through the same thing that's so similar, and the impact that social media has on our kids, and how these videos get out and they seem to copy each other. And I think that's a whole other question, is like, how are we going to hold these social media companies accountable to ensure that videos like these do not remain online and feed to the narrative that this is a way to get popular and get kids doing stuff just for popularity reasons.
It's just devastating to see this. Chief Medina, thank you so much for being on tonight. We'll be in touch with you as this continues to progress. Please call us if you hear anything about the 15-year-old.
Thank you. You guys have a good evening.
You too. And I want to bring in Alexandra Kazarian now. She's a senior trial attorney with Garagos and Garagos. I don't even know where to start. Alexandra, I just cannot. First of all, I can't believe they can't hold the 11-year-old, given the fact that last summer, massive crime spree, shot someone who survived, and they couldn't hold him then, and they can't hold him even now. I mean, as a lawyer, what are your thoughts about this? What can be done?
Yeah, so in certain states, the age of delinquency is different. I mean, generally it is 12. That's the age where you can be charged as a juvenile delinquent. And you're not charged, you're not convicted. You know, the whole point of juvenile court is rehabilitation. And the idea is really, when I have juvenile clients, I tell the family, the mother, the father, whoever the parents are, the guardians, I tell them, you know, this is really about you. The question is society safe with this child in your custody? And if they're not, then the child will become a ward of the state. They don't become a convict if the charges are found true, if the allegations are found true. They're taken into custody of the state, and the state retains the parental rights. Because the idea is, if you as a parent cannot control this child, then the government has to step in. You don't get all of your parental rights taken away like you would if you're a bad parent and it's proven that you are providing an unsafe home. But if the child themselves is uncontrollable and it's gotten to the point that law enforcement needs to get involved, then the child can become a ward of the state. And that's when you go to juvenile hall, which really is kid jail. It's not cute like Punky Brewster's Fenster Hall with, you know, bunk beds everywhere. It's jail. But the reason that a kid goes to jail is to be rehabilitated so that they can be reunited with their parents. But this is obviously a situation where the parenting situation is not working. There isn't one there. But an 11-year-old doesn't have the capacity to understand what they're doing generally. Now, in California, an 11-year-old can be charged with murder. There are certain states where there are exceptions to the Welfare and Institutions Code where if a crime is serious enough, they can be. And in California, you know, people make fun of us for being so liberal, but 11-year-olds can be charged with murder here.
Alexandra, I just can't even believe we're having a conversation about, a boy who likely was 10 last summer during the crime spree with the gun and shooting someone, and now is 11, a conspirator, at least on video, to murder. I'm going to call you back when we hear about the 15-year-old, when I hope he's in custody soon, but we'll have to talk about more when they decide to charge him. Thank you for doing this tonight.
Thanks.
Holy cow. Wow. So a big headline just made by the chief of police in Albuquerque that they have caught the 11-year-old, and he thinks that they're going to catch that 15-year-old anytime soon, and they will push to have that 15-year-old charged as an adult. He said it would be tough to get the 13-year-old charged as an adult. And as for the 11-year-old, tune in tomorrow night, because they're going to figure this one out, hopefully soon. Still to come, a huge turn in the case with a missing college student in the Dominican Republic. The last person to be seen with Sadiq Shukananki just won the right to return home to the United States, and we expect he is going to exercise that right as fast as he can. We also saw and heard from Sadiq's parents today, who made a special request that no family should ever have to make. You're going to see all of it when we come back.
With the Chase mobile app, things move a little more smoothly. deposit checks easily and send money quickly. That's convenience from Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Anytime now, we expect to hear that Joshua Reeby is on a plane and heading home from the Dominican Republic. Reeby is the young man that we have talked about for many days now, but we have never named, and that's because he was never officially a suspect in the disappearance 12 days ago of a fellow spring breaker named Sudiksha Konanki, and he still is not a suspect nor a person of interest. But now he's a free man. After a court hearing today that dragged on for hours and at times got pretty heated, Reeby, along with his parents and his lawyer, appealed to the court that he's been under de facto house arrest unfairly in the Punta Cana resort where Sudiksha vanished. They said that his passport and even his phone were confiscated, that he'd been interrogated numerous times and put under constant police surveillance despite the fact he was never arrested, nor was the disappearance even called a crime. He was under scrutiny, as you well know, because he's the last person known to have seen Sudiksha in the early morning hours of March 6th. We have all seen the surveillance video of the two of them, apparently very drunk with friends, walking arm in arm towards the beach, where Reeby says they went swimming in very rough surf and quickly wished that they had not done that. He told police that he helped to save Sudiksha after they were both caught in a rip current and pulled out to sea, but that she waded away from him while he was vomiting seawater and passing out at the shoreline. Today, his appearance in the Dominican courthouse was a media circus. Take a look. Both Reeby and his father took the stand today, claiming that the officers who were shadowing Josh were, quote, crazy when he and his father went to the U.S. Embassy. Reeby also told the court, and I quote, when Sudiksha's parents left, they said goodbye and even hugged me. She thanked me for saving her daughter the first time. Those parents also have a request of Dominican authorities. They want the officials there to declare their daughter dead. In a letter to both the Dominican Republic and to their home state of Virginia, they write, following an extensive search, Dominican authorities have concluded that Sudiksha is believed to have drowned. Her clothes were discovered on a beach near where she was last seen. They also point out that Reeby has cooperated with the search and that no evidence of foul play has been found. And today, in a heartbreaking appearance, they spoke to the reporters outside their home.
With deep sadness and heavy. No. And heavy heart that we are coming to the terms with the fact that our daughter has drowned. This is incredibly difficult for us to process. We kindly ask you to keep our daughter in your prayers. We still have 2 young children to care of her.
The investigation continues, and Reeby actually does have another hearing on March 28th. That's 10 days from now. But again, he is not charged with anything. He apparently will not have to be there in person. Still ahead tonight, a starving child, a wicked stepmother, and a desperate plot to escape or die trying. Even for a fairy tale, that is a very bleak theme. But it was one man's reality until his cry for help was answered at age 32 and just 68 pounds. One of the heroes of that rescue is live with me next. Stop me if I'm going too fast here, but firefighters rescue people. That's job number one. And when Connecticut firefighters responded to a house fire in Waterbury last month, they surely expected that they might have to save a life or maybe even several lives. But they did not expect what they found. A 32-year-old man trapped in an upstairs room where, in fact, he'd been trapped since the age of 11, and he was 32. He also only weighed 68 pounds. The man told police that he'd been starved and confined by his father, now dead, and his stepmother, very much alive in that picture, and living downstairs, the two of them in that house together. She is now charged with kidnapping and unlawful restraint, among other things. She's free tonight on $300,000 bail, but is due back in court next week. After seeing these horrors firsthand, the Waterbury police chief called them, quote, unfathomable. And Chief Fernando Spagnolo joins me live now. Chief Spagnolo, thank you for being on the program again. It's good to see you. The details that we've been reporting are just unbelievable, but I think you were inside that house. Is there something that we haven't heard yet in terms of details about what you saw in there?
It was really unimaginable, Ashleigh, to be inside a location like that and see this small room that the victim was confined in for over 2 decades, locks and evidence of previous locks on the door, on the exterior of the door, keeping him contained in this small area was just really hard to get your head around. It's just, it shudders. I shudder every time I think of it.
It's been described as more of a storage room than an actual room. What else did you see in there?
A very small room, like in a dormer section of the second floor of the house. Kind of an angled ceiling, not a lot of headroom, and with some furniture in there, really not a lot of room to move around at all.
What about toileting, just your basic essentials of life? Did he have access to a bathroom?
No, unless he was let outside of the room, which was anywhere from 15 minutes to 2 hours a day. Normally every day he got out of the room, mostly to do household chores and sometimes to use the restroom. Sometimes he had to come up with solutions to relieve himself in the room, using straws that were kind of snaked out a window frame because he was afraid that if he tried to open the window up, which was jammed, that it'd break, he would get in trouble. There was always this fear for the victim of retaliation in the form of less nutrients, less attention, less time out of the room if he were to cause any kind of disturbance or anything that would be construed as in a bad fashion by his stepmother, Kimberly Sullivan.
Did he ever say why it was he was treated that way by this family of his?
Kimberly did not speak to us. She retained a lawyer almost immediately when we went to talk to her. But we continue this investigation. We're talking to many people that have had contact with the victim at various times in his life. Much of that contact was prior to 2005 when he was still in school. Before he was pulled out of school and homeschooled and essentially confined to his room nearly 24 hours a day.
I think I've heard that he had some orthopedic conditions, was unable to bathe himself. Can you explain a little bit more about his physical condition and his circumstance in that room?
So 5'9", 68 pounds. I think the average male that's 5'9" is somewhere around 150 to 160 pounds. So that should paint a picture for everyone with watching and listening on what type of condition his body was in. He was really emaciated. He had some orthopedic issues due to the fact that he was confined to such tight quarters, wasn't able to move around, didn't get a lot of exercise, didn't get a lot of steps in, and the nutrients that he received were very subpar. I mean, he was lucky to receive 2 sandwiches a day with a piece or 2 of deli meat on it. 2 cups of water a day, at times when having the opportunity, drinking water from a toilet just to hydrate himself.
Where is he tonight, and how is he being cared for, given that was what I think the only family he had left, other than maybe others who knew of this condition and did nothing about it?
So, I like to think, and I will say he's on a road to recovery. We're not quite sure what that looks like, but his physical ailments are being cared for quite well and attended to quite well. He's going to have a long road to travel as far as coping with what has happened to him over the last couple of decades and really where he goes from here.
And that's something else. I mean, he's had no upbringing. He was pulled out of school in, I think, 4th grade or somewhere thereabouts. So he hasn't learned the basics of life, how to care for himself, how to feed himself, how to work. He's going to be rendered fairly helpless. Do you have any idea what the plan is to help him, A, physically get well, and then somehow make his way in this world by himself?
You know, his story, and when you talk to him, he's very pure. It's uncontaminated. He is cognizant of what's going on. He did a lot to keep himself in the loop of current events when having the opportunity, turning a radio up that was outside the room to listen to talk radio and listen to news and just keep himself aware of what was going on. He was provided a dictionary and a couple of books a year, which he continuously read over and over to keep himself sharp in that fashion. That being said, he does have a lot to learn, but he's very resilient and he's got a lot of perseverance. I mean, look at the steps that he took just to draw attention to the situation and get himself free. I mean, he was willing to risk his own life and persevere through all of that just to draw some attention to the situation.
But by lighting that fire, just one last question. I thought maybe he had a television up there, but he had nothing other than a dictionary and a couple of books a year to pass the time in that storage room?
That's it. Yeah. On occasion he'd get to watch TV when his dad was alive. His dad, who by all accounts really didn't do him any favors, would allow him out of the room more often when the stepmother was gone and watch television with him. And he would get some current events and some activity that way.
Chief, please keep us updated on any other details. My heart goes out to this guy. I hope he's going to be okay. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for helping to fill in some blanks.
Thank you for the opportunity. Have a good night.
Chief Fernando Spagnolo joining us tonight from the Waterbury Police. Still to come, how long can you hold your breath? This commercial that's coming up is just a couple minutes long, and I'll bet that you can't make it through part. Don't try. But every man who gets the mask, they try to hold their breath until the deadly gas just gets its way. As was the case tonight in Louisiana, I'm going to tell you how that state's first nitrogen execution went and how his victim's family felt about it. Next.
Which means you'll help us stay on track?
Yes. As a fiduciary, we always put your interests first because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
The state of Louisiana did something tonight that it hadn't done in 15 years, and the officials say it was long overdue. It executed a death row inmate. Jesse Hoffman Jr. was put to death 28 years, 3 months, and 20 days after he robbed, raped, and murdered a stranger in New Orleans, a young advertising executive named Molly Elliott. He is the 7th condemned man put to death in the United States so far this year, but he is the first to die by nitrogen hypoxia in Louisiana. Last week, we told you that a federal judge had put the execution on hold so that Hoffman's lawyers could pursue their claims that death by nitrogen amounts to cruel and unusual punishment. But an appeals court ultimately sided with the state, and the Supreme Court today did not halt the execution. The defense had also claimed that suffocation infringes on Hoffman's rights as a Buddhist by preventing the deep breathing needed for meditation. I'll let you think about that. For his part, Hoffman requested a firing squad instead, but that's not an option in Louisiana, not yet anyway. A few days ago, I spoke with a doctor who researches and writes extensively about the death penalty, and he says that nitrogen hypoxia is actually not far removed from torture, waterboarding, he actually said it's like. Only one other state has ever used nitrogen on death row, and that is Alabama. 4 times, all last year. As for Molly Elliott's family, her husband was asked about the execution, and he said he'd be just as satisfied if Jesse Hoffman spent the rest of his life in prison. And while nobody asked me, I am pretty damn sure that whatever kind of death Hoffman endured in that chamber tonight, Molly Elliott's death was far, far worse. Coming up, Puff Daddy's trial is now less than 2 months away, and I, for one, am having a very hard time believing it's going to go ahead as scheduled so soon. But I was sure it was going to be pushed back, maybe into next year. Still might be. But Diddy himself, Diddy is looking forward to getting the whole mess over with. And we know that because of a leaked jailhouse phone call to none other than Mr. Kanye West. And yes, I am playing it for you next. If you ever see an old movie about prison, you'll often see a time served calendar on the wall with a countdown of the days crossed off. Counting down the days behind bars is a thing, you know? And turns out Sean Diddy Combs does it too. For proof, I submit to you an allegedly leaked jailhouse phone call from Diddy in his federal lockup in Brooklyn to none other than Kanye West. It is obtained by the Shade Room, and it looks like it was recorded by Kanye himself on his phone. Diddy encourages his friend to, quote, get behind the mic and have some fun. And Diddy thanks Kanye for taking care of his kids. As for his legal predicament, he says he is thinking past his trial all the way to the verdict, which he seems to think will be not guilty. Have a listen.
Yeah. Like 59 more days before trial, so I'll definitely be touching in to tap into your energy or something. Yeah. Play me some shit over the phone, give me some fucking life. It's fucking sad. I put daddy in jail. And when I get out and I get that fucking freedom, whew, right. I'm not caring about nothing but motherfucking being happy. And I want you to feel that. Yeah. I want y'all to have that for yourselves, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Jury selection is expected to start on May 5th with opening statements 1 week later, and you know we will be watching. Speaking of watching, check out my podcast either on the podcast listening thing or on YouTube. There's the QR code right there. Got some 911 call content on Idaho and also Lori Vallow body language. I'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Cuomo's next.
To understand what motivates how President Trump says and does many things. Well, there are few, if any, who can explain what motivates Donald John Trump more or better than Steve Bannon. You know him as the former White House